The media decided to criticise his corduroy trousers and whatever else they could criticise, and put a very negative spin on him. There's no way that Jeremy Corbyn is in any way anti-Semitic or anti-racist.
And Jeremy Corbyn says that he's going to stand as an independent candidate. What do you think about that?
It's going to divide the Labour vote and might squeeze somebody else in, but I'm not a great fan of Corbyn. I think he wrecked the Labour Party last time round, and he's very stubborn.
Well, I'm not surprised and that he's going to stand as an independent. I am personally pleased with that because I had every intention of voting for him, regardless of, whether he was part of the Labour Party or not. And I'm quite disappointed that the Labour Party have taken the stand towards him. And so, yes, I am very much a Jeremy Corbyn supporter.
I don't think it's any surprise, and it'll be interesting to see who Labour field really and how they do. But I fully expect Jeremy Corbyn to, win again in this area because he's very popular here.
None of them, including the Labour Party, mentioned anything about the housing crisis. And I feel so sorry for our young people because they've got no prospects going forward into the future. The rents are absolutely unaffordable and just, I don't know how. They're not earning the wages to afford those rents. So the biggest thing they could have done was to solve some of the cost of living crisis was to include some change of policy, i.e. building more council homes, And so I'm pleased that Jeremy's standing as an independent because the fact that they haven't mentioned anything about housing has made my mind up that I will continue to vote for Jeremy Corbyn because I believe he genuinely cares about society.
Would you consider voting for him?
Yeah, I think I always try and read all the policies and see what because I'm very much the environment's probably the most important thing right now, so that's probably what I'm going to look at. But I know he's been part of this constituency for many years. I know it's been good, so I'm not too sure right now what I'm going to do.
Did you vote for him in the past?
I did, yeah. I voted him for the leadership and voted, in the election. Unfortunately, the media decided to criticise his corduroy trousers and whatever else they could criticise, and put a very negative spin on him. There's no way that Jeremy Corbyn is in any way anti-Semitic or anti-racist. We've known Jeremy for 30 years in Islington, and he's a fantastic MP.
For me, he is very much a local man. He understands the community. He's there. He's what I regard as a foot soldier. If there's an incident here, he's there. Not just for the cameras and for sound bites. He's actually concerned about things that matter to people in this borough, certainly in this part of Islington. And for that reason, I support him. I support his policies.
Yes, I did. Yeah, I voted Labour mostly.
And if you were still living here, do you think that you would consider voting for him?
I don't know, actually.
For the future, I have to say the Greens. I feel they're only the ones really looking at environment in the future, and then no one else really cares about it. That's what I think. So that's probably for the future. I think vote for them. I feel they're focusing on the short term and the financial and sort of still probably all about post-COVID. But I think no one's really thinking about the far future as much as the Greens are.
And you talked about how it might divide the Labour Party. Could you elaborate more on that? Why do you think that?
Well, there are Corbyn aficionados who will vote for him, and that will diminish the Labour vote quite substantially, I would have thought, even though it's a solidly Labour constituency.
All across London, Labour do really well. I don't think Jeremy Corbyn taking Islington North again is going to be a big factor in anything. I mean, he's more of a sort of local politician than a national politician, so I don't see it making any difference.
Standing as an independent candidate in Parliament, what change can he actually make as an independent?
Actually, that is a really worrying. It's It's a little bit of a concern because if he stands as an independent and I vote for him, it's taking away votes from the Labour Party and therefore maybe giving the Tory Party, who I don't support in terms of their policies, it may give them more of a chance to get back into power. So it's a little bit divisive on one level, but I don't think he's had much option, really. He's not had much choice. I think the Labour Party should have reinstated him. So there is a concern about that, but I'm already on shaky grounds in terms of whether I really want to vote for the Labour Party this time. I am not in support of their stand on international matters, and I'm not 100% convinced that they can deliver because of the economic crisis that we find ourselves in. You know, we don't live in isolation to what's going on with the rest of the world. There are changes going on, balance of power changes, lots of shifts going on. And I am not sure England is able to stand as that mighty, nation as they used to be. It's very interconnected to the rest of the world, and we are impacted by things like the war in Ukraine. So yes, it is of a concern to me, but I am still going to vote for Jeremy.
Well, obviously, if you're on your own, it's a lot less. But that's not down to Jeremy. That's directly down to him being expelled from the Labour Party, which I think is absolutely disgusting. And also what they've done to Diane Abbott as well. I found it utterly, utterly disgusting. And the fact that she wasn't even allowed to speak in Parliament, I found it, difficult. It's a very different Labour Party looking like to me.
For example, Jeremy Corbyn was removed from the Labour Party over concerns of how he tackled problems of anti-Semitism in the party. Do you think that that still hangs over his head? Do you have any
Yeah,
worries about
unfortunately, the press has a lot to play on this because, you really need to look at really what people, he's actually said. He, like myself, I'd like to think, is very against the war and the conflict that's going on in Palestine. It's not either one side or the other. I do not think he's anti-Semitic. No, I don't. I think the media have whipped up, as they did when he was when as a leader of the Labour Party. If you're not on the side of Israel, you're automatically an anti-Semitic, and that's not correct.
And Keir Starmer, he says that he's tried to do a lot to change the Labour Party. Do you think it is a changed party?
Yes. And he's kind of sober, sensible, rational, calm, and I think we need a bit of that. We've had enough charisma and antics.
How would you say that you feel as a young person in the UK? Do you feel positive about your future?
I feel kind of positive. I feel like there's certain aspects are good, certain aspects are bad. I think we've got a lot to work on as a government to about everything that's going on in the world. We need to not focus about what's on our doorstep, but focus on what's happening in Europe, what's happening in Africa. I think there's loads of things that we're not seeing and the government's not sharing with us as well.